Hey, and we're back for part 2 of this, what we're reading, what we're committing to read, etc., etc.
Yeah. So, dude, I know we left me on a big rant about Sandman, so I don't know if we want to dive into what you've read, what you plan to
Yeah,
read.
sure. So the other book that I've picked up and started to read, continuing from one of our earlier clips, was Volume 2 of Sex Criminals by my ultimate favorite Matt Fraction and the artist Chip Zdarsky. And again, man, I've got to kind of where I am. I'm not far into it. I literally started reading it last night after I'd knocked out the Immortal Hulk ones there. And yeah, dude, the story picks up kind of where it left off. I didn't give people too much context, but basically at the end of the first volume, there's these quick synopsis. It's about these two lovers, boyfriend, girlfriend, that whenever they orgasm, time stops. And the beginning or the first volume is all about them kind of discovering this power, how it works for them. And in doing so, as fate would have it, they find one another, and they figure out that when they have sex and they both orgasm together, time stops almost like indefinitely until they get excited again. And as they get excited and aroused again, everything snaps back to continue. And at the end of the first volume, you introduced to these almost like, I guess you could call them time cops. So it's kind of like there's this group of people that share the same thing, all linked to sex and orgasming and stuff. And yeah, they are way more down the line or advanced or understand the power and how it works compared to the two of them. And they're not official police. They literally are a bunch of, like, one chick's a soccer mom, the other dude's like a plumber or something, but they've all found each other somehow, and they have formed this group of policing people, and on that premise of, you know, it's an amazing power, let's not abuse it, let's use it responsibly or whatever. And they pick up on the fact, based on what these two are doing, the life of crime that they're kind of going down, and because they're still finding their way through, they are leaving clues that would baffle anyone else. But to these people that know about it, they're like, here's two more people that have discovered this ability.
Okay.
And they've taken it upon themselves to police them, and they apprehend them, and they're going to take them off and take them to the league, if you want to call them that, or the higher governing body, and kind of put them in their place, as it were. So the story continues from there. That's where I'm kind of in now. It's unfolding what's happening, who these people are. Like I said earlier, I didn't know Chip Zdarsky. Well, I had limited exposure to him, but again, his art just works with how Fraction's telling the story. I love Fraction's humor in this. It gets me. You know, they're talking about a very taboo subject, and they're taking it to a very left field extreme. Have an orgasm, stop time, and the way he plays with that gimmick, it's awesome. So I'm very excited, you know, to continue reading this, and hopefully I can give people a little bit more context.
How many volumes do you have on hand, dude?
So I believe the story is going to be finished in 6 volumes, and I don't know if the last comic has come out, or if it's like still to be shipped once all the lockdown restrictions get lifted. And then soon after that comes out, I think you can even order Volume 6 now through previews and stuff like that to still be delivered in a month or two's time. So it's going to wrap itself up in 6 volumes. I have, I think, up to Volume 3 on my shelf. And then I'm going to put an order in with our local comic store to at least get 4 and 5 and pre-order 6. So whenever 6 does come out, ship that straight to me so I can wrap it up.
Little side note, sorry, I know it's off topic, but with orders, I ordered from my local comic book shop. I got giant size X-Men Nightcrawler.
Nice. The Hickman one.
Yeah, and because that's why you got the thought thinking when you were talking about Hickman in the previous episode. So I don't know when it's going to get delivered to me, but I'm keen to. And I actually wanted to tell you, but I forgot because I think it said 2 left in stock, and I've bought one of them now. So I don't know if you'll just rather want to lend it from me or.
I'll see if it's available. I might buy it if it's a one shot. Yeah, definitely. I'll see how it is, and I'm sure, even if they're out of stock, I'm sure they can order me another one to come when they start.
Yeah, because it's interesting you say, because I mean they had volume 1 of Sandman, the exact one that I showed in the previous episode, on auction, and I commented and I'm like, do you guys have any of the other volumes? Because for some reason I've got 1, 2, and then 4 and 5. I don't know why I must have got confused when we were like hanging out, and I didn't want to double buy. But yeah, but
maybe direct message them. I've had a lot of success messaging them because of the fact that they can courier some stuff to people now. I know that they are quite swamped with trying to fulfill get stuff to people, myself included. So maybe just drop them a direct message and say, guys, do you have 3? I'm looking specifically for 3. And they might be able to give it to you at a good price.
Yeah.
Sex Criminals, Volume 2. Looking forward to finishing this. In reading it, though, one thing that leapt out at me, and it's probably going to be something that turns into a rant here. So, Sex Criminals Volume 2 collects issues 6 to 10. So call it 5 issues in here. I don't know if you guys can see sort of the thickness over there, relatively thick. Here is Immortal Hulk Volume 2. Immortal Hulk Volume 2 collects issues 6 to 10. Exactly the same as Sex Criminals. I'm going to try and hopefully this comes out right on the camera. So if we look over here.
Yeah, if you look carefully, you can see it.
At the thicknesses between the two.
It's almost half.
It is half. I've measured. I took a ruler and I measured. The Immortal Hulk is half the size of Volume 2. And they're both Volume 2s collecting the same amount of comics. Yes, 6 to 10. Half the size of this. Here's the kicker. Immortal Hulk Volume 2 cover price, $15.99 US. Sex Criminals Volume 2 cover price, $14.99 US dollars. $1 cheaper. Double the content to this. And I'm sorry, dude, it's something that I've been talking about and saying for a while now. For me, Marvel Comics, and I'm going to single Marvel Comics out, they are ruining the comic book world for me in a variety of ways. So, I think they are probably the most expensive comics on the rack, single issues, if you're buying their comics, varying in like $4, $5, whatever it is. Sometimes I think it goes down to like $3. But compared to anyone else, I think DC might be second to them when you look at single comic cover price. Standard comic, not like a 100-page special or a certain 64-page one-shot, whatever, just a standard comic. And if you look at them, their comics are not that much thinner when compared to anyone else. They're all pretty much the same amount of pages. However, when you open up the Marvel comic, there's so little content versus ads and other things in there to fill up the page count. So here's a perfect example. When you strip out all the ads and stuff and you just print the content of this comic, it is half of a rival Image book title that's collecting the same amount of issues, but more expensive.
It's so interesting you mentioned that. Sorry, dude.
Carry on.
But it's a quick note, but I have it's a video we're going to do later on where it's just cool things in our collectibles. And my one thing is that it's an old X-Men comic, funny enough. Not anything crazy and special, but I decided a while ago that, I like this comic. I might as well read it instead of just collecting it for its cover. And I just couldn't help but be bombarded by ads, and I'm not used to it. And now you've put the pieces together for me because I'm so used to reading DC. And yeah, sure, there's a couple of ads, but I was like, why is there so many ads? And I kept turning the page.
Yeah, dude. And that's my biggest gripe with Marvel recently. That and the fact that almost Marvel can't seem to release something. In fact, Immortal Hulk kind of shocked me because it doesn't seem to tie in to any of the major crossovers that happen. But Marvel, it just seems like it's one massive major event after another. And Marvel the old Marvel, like 90s Marvel, 80s Marvel, when I was getting into it and reading, they would have big events like the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity War, I don't know, Civil War, whatever it is. Actually, Civil War is a bad example, but the Secret War. All of these things would come up, and they were relatively self-contained, i.e., just read this main thing, and you'll get the story. There it is. Everyone will say, oh, no, Marvel still do it that way. But they actually really don't. Marvel now has this thing of you kind of need to read all the encompassing and surrounding titles too that are coming out at the same time as this large event to get the real, full, overarching story to get it. And that's leading them into their omnibus sales. So all these major big things that are coming out recently are coming out in multiple volume TPs, for one, and then very soon after that being collected in omnibus form. And in the omnibus, they'll say every single thing that's linked to this major event, it's in here and in chronological kind of recommended reading order for everybody. Okay, I get it. We're trying to make money. We're trying to get things, sales in or whatever. But for me, Marvel are taking it to the nth degree extreme where they're going just any way that we can milk people and pull more money out of them. And the thing that's irking me is you're not really getting bang for your buck. Like you say, half of that fucking comic is full of ads that I don't care about. I want to read the story and hopefully get a good story in that. And that's my next part, is not all the Marvel crossovers and titles, for my opinion, are great or good. Like I said, every now and again, Jonathan Hickman says, I'm going to do House of X, Powers of X, my own kind of thing, not in the main X-Men titles. It's a separate thing, but it's going to redefine X-Men. Great. He's Jonathan Hickman. Let's give him what he wants. But everything else, for me, it's weak, dude. It's
You know what's interesting, dude? You've brought this up to me before, but never did it occur to me. I'm so glad that you actually showed the dollar price printed on the book. Because as you know, us in South Africa, like I've stopped looking at the dollar price. I'm like, it's whatever the comic book shop's going to price it at. Because, they've got a series of things to contend with, shipping, whatever the rand dollar is at that moment. But a lot of the times, what our shops do is they price it on hype.
Sure.
So I've always just assumed, the Marvel books are a bit more expensive because of the MCU and all the movies and the series and stuff. That's just the assumption I made. It never occurred to me that from the States, it's coming here, it's landing more expensive at half the half the content.
And dude, on that note, they can't say to me that it costs them more to print the stuff. Rubbish. It costs them probably the same as it costs DC, Image. If anything, logically costing Image more to have certain things printed because they're not doing the same volume that Marvel and DC are. But yet, their cover prices are lower. So I'm like, for me, Marvel, it's you guys are now completely a part of the Disney money-making engine, and they're unashamedly charging people more for less content. And that, let me choose my words carefully here. There's one side of me that
up a little.
it doesn't work for. It upsets me. The other side of me goes, these Immortal Hulks, for me, the way L. Ewing has written the story, it was thin, small, easy to read. I hit them through, I think I got through both of them over 2 days. And not 2 days of dedicated reading, it was just 2 sittings. Sitting one, I managed to read the one. Sorry, dog's going a bit crazy on the couch over here. So sitting one, I finished the first one. Sitting two, finished the second one. For me, I love that. I love that I can get through these stories in these sittings. That works for me. I think that's a great thing. but charge me less for the book, Marvel. If it's smaller in content, if it's thinner than anything else in the same category on the stand, don't charge me more than the others. If anything, you should be charging me a couple dollars less than the Image title that I've got.
That's interesting. The thought that came to my head is, but I don't know if I want to give them all this credit, but do you think it's strategically done like that because of, they've done studies on attention spans these days, and people they watch YouTube clips, they do this, they do that. So make the read shorter, but you're so right, because it's just bombarded with ads, which just,
so dude,
so 100
I agree
years
with
ago.
you. In the hands of the right storyteller, like for me, like I said, L. Ewing, in my opinion, is telling the story perfectly. I can't think of any part of the story that I've gone, I think he could have unpacked that a little bit more. I haven't had that feeling at all. For me, it's just felt absolutely spot on and right. And yes, the shorter read is working for me on this. I'm loving it. But again, charge me less for it. Don't charge me $16 for the damn thing. Charge me 10. Charge me 11. If the Image one is coming in at 15 and it's double the thickness, I get it. Half of or a portion of this is printing, binding that I'm paying for. Fine. Don't tell me that I'm paying for that on the Marvel thing, because there's less pages. There's half the pages in this. So bring the price down on the Marvel one.
Another interesting topic, dude. You could comment on this because you've been reading Sex Criminals, but like Image and stuff, are their titles like advertiser heavy? Because I don't recall them being very. And you'd think as a smaller publisher, they would need the advertising.
Yeah. So
they would be the ones bombarding.
I can't speak to it because I can't remember the last time I picked up a single Image comic, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm interested to do that as a comparison, to get any random Image comic on the shelf, any random Marvel one, then open them up and try and see who has more ads per page, etc., etc. My gut says to me, probably not. Just knowing Marvel the way I know Marvel, nowadays Marvel, money-making, almost rip your customer off Marvel, in my opinion. That's the feeling I'm getting here. It says to me that Marvel would have more ads in their thing to make more money. So it's not that they're not just making money off me, the reader, they're making money off all these advertisers. And granted, some of it is probably their own content that they're advertising, other titles, other events, etc. Fine. But I guarantee you there's a lot of stuff in there that's just paid for content by various people, PlayStation or Nike or whomever it might be.
When was the last time you saw a Got Milk ad?
Yeah, 100%. Now, in the old comics, the 80s and 90s, I mean, Got Milk was everywhere. All the characters with the little milk moustache and whatever. I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah. I go through those comics, and the ads spread out through the comic are so few and far between compared to the content that I got. And I'll be honest with you, dude, as a consumer, when I go in to buy stories and comics and trades, even if I'm trying to get stuff that I read as a youngster 10 years ago, whatever it is, Marvel is last on my list that I want to look at, because I know that when I go in there, they're in the, I'll use the Rand versions here, they were in the 600, 700 Rand range for a average size TP. DC were in the 400 to 500 Rand range. Image, 2 to maybe 400 Rand, depending. So definitely noticeable. And just based on that price point, it drove me to look at and explore a lot more IDW, a lot more Dark Horse, and a lot more Image titles that I normally would have picked up. Stuff that if I was sitting on the fence on, I'd probably pick it up on the Image and all of those guys' side, as opposed to actually buying a Marvel one that I want to get, because in my mind I knew I'm going to be paying 30 to maybe even 50% more for the Marvel title, and I felt I'm getting ripped off. I'll rather wait for the right special on that particular thing before I get it.
Funny you mentioned that, just popped into my head. There's actually still an Image title I want to read. I don't want to put it on my to-read list because I don't own it yet, but I still want to read Monstrous. I don't know if you ever read that.
I actually, our local comic shop had an online auction, and I won Volume 1 in one of these online auctions. And again, dude, I think it cost me $150 for volume 1 of Monstrous.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I purely bid on that just because of what the starting price was. I went, that's a great price for it. Ended up winning it. I'm happy about that.
That's the great thing about those auctions, man, is that there's a lot of that, like, goodness that's up there, but general public, like the guys that go into the comic book shop and like buy pops and stuff, like they don't know what the hell Monstrous is.
Yeah, 100%.
But Sandman, like, because Sandman, you know, people starting to hear about it, Netflix, all that. I saw it had like 2 or 3 bids on volume 1. But titles like that, and you get them at the like starting bid, it's like, it's a bargain, man. There's a couple that I had to hold back and be like, no, Mark, not now. See how finances are going after lockdown.
I applaud. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I applaud the comic shop for doing that. They've got the stock, it's sitting there. They want to move it, and they're moving it smartly, for my opinion. They're going, what's a nice, decent price range to hook people, whether it's the graphic novels, the comics that they're putting up. Even some of the pops I've seen are very good price point compared to what they would normally be selling for in the shop. And guys are bidding on these auctions, man. Guys are actively seeking some of the stuff.
Yeah, I have a confession to make. Like, and I think it's lockdown syndrome sitting in, but like, even like a pop here and there is like seemed appealing to me, and I'm like, maybe I should get it. And it's like, no, Mark, don't do it. It's like, maybe I should. But then, like, it's the one pop that I do want, and it's Death. But dude, it was like $600 or something. I'm like, and now I've tried to go back and find it, just to see like if it was a bid or if it was the set price, and I can't find it because they load so much on their page, and there's no search tab that I could find.
There is. If you go into the group, somewhere there is a way to search, and you can just type Death in the search, and it'll probably give you anything that has Death in the...
Okay, I'll check it out. I couldn't find it. And then while I was doing that exercise and going down the long rabbit hole of disgust of pops, I saw there was a recent Zatanna one that was released, and I don't know if it's made it to our country yet, and I'm like, Mark, it's starting. No, like you got to cut this off now.
Dude, don't even get me started, because I
saw you and your Care Bears.
Shut up! I don't know why. those Care Bears just work for me, and dude. When I was a little kid with my cousins, especially my older cousin Carolyn, she had a ton of these little Care Bears. They were little rubber, probably 2-inch or so Care Bear things, each in a certain pose. And she, I think, had probably every single Care Bear. It kind of bled over to my cousin and I. We had the odd little Care Bear too. And some of those Pops Care Bears, man, they work. So I think I've got 2 or 3 now, even, that I
have a question for you. I want to see how bad the pop syndrome is. So when you get them, are you going to take them out the box or keep them in?
So I'll be honest with you. There's one or so that I got with someone else in mind that I'm going to gift it to that person. The one I'm definitely going to take out. So what I want to do, there's one more that I want to try and get. So I've got Sunshine Bear. That's the happy, cheerful one. And then there's Grumpy Bear that they've got. So I want to try and hunt and get Grumpy Bear. And then I want to have Sunshine Bear and Grumpy Bear together. Because for me, that's kind of like my personality. And one side I can be happy and cheerful and friendly to all, and other days just kill the world.
Yeah, because I know like this is me rationalizing with the devil, or whatever you want to call it. But like, I think it's, if you have a couple and it's cool they're there because it's your favorite character, it's fine. I've got a Batman one over here. And dude, put it to the camera. And dude, in the packaging, like I got this in a deal, and it had some like special little sticker on, exclusive 70 years or 80 years of Batman, and I took it straight out the box, dude. Like, I'm not trying to sound all hardcore and stuff, but like I still want to maybe, I've been thinking about getting Constantine as a ton and a Death, you know, like that'll be me trying to chop it off. But you get these guys that literally go and buy like 5 like of the same one, and they're like, this is going to definitely go up, you know, and they keep it in its packaging. There's even pop covers for the boxes, protectors, like, you know, almost like top loaders. And I'm like, cool, man, good luck. They're little toys. Like,
yeah, dude. So I don't know. I think that's where I'll kind of cap it off or end it off. The Care Bear ones. Oh, and I did once upon a time advance order the Baby Yoda.
Oh yeah,
as
I
well.
remember that. I regret that I didn't, but
I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's just still to be shipped or something. I need to follow up on that. But that's the only other one that I've got. But these damn stupid Care Bears, they just work for me.
yes.
So, if you liked what Mark and I were talking about here, or just like our content in general,
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more videos.
and yeah, do us a favor and find us on the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
See you in the next video.